Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. Today we've got an Elk Rut report from good friend Daniel Franco of Burnt Timber Outfitters out of Heber, Arizona. Daniel, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Jay?
Good. I wanted to get your take. It's Monday before the Rut archery hunt starts there in Unit 3C and Unit 1, well, all across the state of Arizona, but I know you're hot and heavy in 1, 3C, and Unit 23. Wanted to get your take on, first, what the country looks like, how we fared after the monsoon, and kind of the conditions. And then I want to get into what you're noticing as far as elk behavior and what they're doing.
You know, our monsoon started off really good. We had some really good storms. They were fairly isolated, so some areas definitely got hit more than others. But overall, I would say our monsoon started out good. We got really good moisture there, starting the first to middle of July. Unfortunately, it kind of dried up on us. We had a couple of weeks there that were pretty hot and dry. Didn't get a lot of rain. Got some little sprinkles here and there, but nothing substantial. Right now, the feed looks really good. The grass looks good. We've got a good acorn crop this year. So as far as feed is concerned, the feed looks really good. It is a little dry. It's the vegetation, the ground is definitely dry right now. Makes it a little difficult to get in close to game because it's a little crunchy right now. We've had a couple of little rains, kind of hit and miss here and there since then, but I would say for the most part, as far as the feed is concerned, we're good on feed. I haven't seen a dry tank yet. All the tanks have water. So I think rolling into the season, I think we're pretty good.
Daniel, would you rather have it exactly how it is right now, a little bit dry going into the opener, or would you prefer it to be raining every single day and really wet as far as, one, stocking in on stuff, and two, behavior for the elk, and then maybe three, if it is dry like it is, do you see guys being able to sit some water and having better success than if it was, really, really wet?
I would prefer, I kind of like these conditions. I wish we did have a little more precipitation, a little more moisture, just because it does make it easier to stock in on bulls, get in in and out quiet. As far as sitting water, the units that we hunt, it's not real, they're not your typical units to sit water in. There's a lot of stock tanks. There's some live water, there's some seeps, different things. So typically water, sitting water, unless you've got kind of an isolated area where you have limited water, it doesn't tend to be overly effective in the units that we hunt. So I would rather see it similar to this, maybe a little wetter than this, but definitely a little more ground moisture to make it quieter for walking in the woods, getting around, getting in on bulls, that sort of thing.
How does this year compare to last year as far as conditions of grass and what have you?
I would say as far as the feed, it's about the same. I would say it's very, very similar to last year. We did have more rains and kind of a better monsoon last year. So, all in all, I would say it's pretty much about a wash, compared to last year's feed and precipitation and whatnot.
What are you seeing as far as antler growth, maybe comparing this year to last year and or this year compared to other years, average, below average, above average? Where do you think we stand going into this season?
Based off of what I've seen so far, I don't think we have any drought issues in antler growth that I've seen. I haven't seen anything real big yet, so that's kind of hard to tell, or any bulls that I know are carryover bulls from last year that we knew about. So that's kind of the telltale sign. I have seen some bulls in some of the other units that are a lot more arid, a lot drier, where if you're going to see any effects from drought in antler growth, it would have been on these elk and in these areas. And based off of what I've seen, they look pretty good. I mean, I've seen they seem to be fully grown out. They seem to have, good time length. It doesn't seem like they're petering in the back end. They seem to have sustained it all the way through, and looks like we're right on track as far as antler growth.
Good. We're sitting here having our conversation on the 11th of September. Obviously, a very historical and memorial date for all Americans, but it also, for me, kind of kicks off like when, around the 10th, 11th, somewhere in there. It's almost like when the elk, really realize what, they start getting after it. What are you seeing as far as rutting activity for the bulls and the cows? How much vocalization, like what's going on out there?
As far as the cows are concerned, they've been pretty vocal here for about the last couple of weeks. You can, almost every morning get out and hear cows making quite a bit of noise, quite a bit of cow talk. The bulls, it's kind of interesting. They did kind of start out pretty slow. I did hit a pretty good pocket last week where a group of 20 bulls came into an area where there were 250 to 300 head of cows and calves, kind of a big nursery herd. And boy, they started tearing it up. They were bugling really good. They were going until 8:30 in the morning. Kind of, more typical to what you would see a lot later, towards the middle of September, not the very first week of September. But this morning they were a little more. You could tell it was a little bit early. Their bulls are talking. They're not tearing it up. They're not ripping it up. They are with cows, but they're not really pushing the cows and tending the cows. It's more of a they know it's getting close. They're hanging out with the cows. They're kind of answering the other bulls that are in the area and bugling and just talking to each other, raking a tree here and there. I think as far as the rut and the schedule, I think we're right about on. It seems to me like here within about the next week, it's going to, be gangbusters, and they're going to be, doing what they're supposed to for us. So.
Good. What are your predictions going into this season for the country that you hunt around that Heber area, as far as everything that you've seen going on with rut behavior, with the conditions, with antler growth, timing of the season dates? What's your outlook?
I'm pretty optimistic this year. Mainly because of the things that you just named off, the moisture, the feed that's out there. The archery hunt got moved back a week later based on the calendar. The moon, we're going to have the dark of the moon during the archery hunt. So for all of those reasons, as well as we do have a couple of carryover bulls from last year that we didn't kill, that we know made it through the season. We're pretty excited to try to get out and find them, get them located, and see what they did this year, and try to get them on the ground. So
awesome. What advice do you have for people that are listening that maybe this is their first archery elk season, or maybe just general advice for guys out there that are going to do it on their own in some of that country that you hunt? Is there any bit of last minute tips that you would give them?
Not really. Just enjoy it. I mean, this is, fall is, two of my favorite things to do in the fall are hunt elk and NFL football. So
I was going to say, you're not going to say like deer hunting or something like that. It's going to be fantasy football for you.
It's going to be fantasy football and elk hunting, so it's just a great time of year. It's a great time to be out in the woods. It's not too hot, not too cold. the bulls are bugling. Have fun. Get out and have fun. Get your feet on the ground out in the woods and go look at bulls. One thing that we try to do, and I wish more people would do it. In fact, last week I happened to run into to another outfitter. We were kind of in the same area, looking at the same bulls, and I didn't know he was there. He didn't know I was there, and we had kind of been going up through these bulls and looking at different bulls most of the morning, and finally at 8 o'clock we ran into each other, and we got to talking, and both made the comment that, man, hey, good job for not getting in here and just blowing all these elk out. Get in here, get the wind right, just work in slow, watch for cows, move in, look at a bull. If it's a bull you want to, kill or, go after, then do it. If not, then back out, let him move off, and go look at the next one. When you walk into an area and you blow elk out, it's a lose for everybody. So, but have fun. Yeah, get out there, have fun, and chase elk. So it's that time of year.
Right on, buddy. Well, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you giving us the insight there. And I'm sure you're looking forward to the archery season starting on Friday, and then the early rifle season to follow that up.
We are. It's going to be good. So I can't believe you're going to miss it.
The elk have been bugling for a week up here in Wyoming, pretty good, behind the place where I'm staying, and actually one was in the yard, not last night, but the night before, and it's been kind of cool, and I'm going to be actually heading up to Montana and hearing a few elk bugle here next week.
Yes.
So Star, I know, is excited. His tag starts on Friday as well, and he's got high hopes and going to put a bunch of time in. So look forward to seeing what you guys bring down. Want to make sure the listeners know burnttimberoutfitters.com. You can follow Daniel, BTO Daniel, what is it, on Instagram?
Franco_BTO on Instagram, as well as
Franco_BTO
on Instagram.
Yep. Okay, or Burnt Timber Outfitters. And Daniel, thanks for your time. Get after them, and look forward to seeing the pictures.
You bet. Good talking to you, Jay.
All right, buddy. Take care.